But in this moment, it just seems a little weird, particularly after putting her underwear directly into his nose.
Why are
He's
we
braiding her
braiding
hair.
our hair? Is this a sleepover?
This is the
Got it.
protocol in his household.
Okay.
By the door.
Reality shows have subtler music cues. This is ridiculous. He has this huge, elaborate setup, but all they show is minimal binding, and they're like, he's crazy.
Was it lust or just good blocking? Was that moan from joy or mocking? The towel stayed on, but the tension was thick. Was it sexy or just a camera trick? From kisses to caresses, we're breaking down the yeses. Faking it with Ariel and Morgan.
Hi, I'm Ariel Lee Cohen,
Hey, I'm Morgan Smith.
and we're the hosts of Faking It with Ariel and Morgan.
We're two intimacy coordinators here to talk about the spicy scenes you see in film and TV.
Happy New Year, Morgan!
Happy New Year, Ariel! I'm so excited.
I have my giant size matters cup that feels appropriate for today's adventure.
Oh my God. That is the best cartoonishly large mug I've ever seen.
It's comically big. It is the size of my whole head.
Because size matters when it comes to coffee mugs. This is our first episode of 2026, and with the new year, we're bringing changes to Faking It to give you more of the stuff you love by diving straight into scene work with more depth and analysis. Instead of separate sections for hot off the set and position to know, we're going to incorporate those anecdotes organically throughout the episode, and we'll always change names or identifying details for privacy purposes. And of course, we still have the spice scale. If you have feedback about the pod, please email us at fakingitthepod@gmail.com. And today, we are reacting to 50 Shades of Grey.
Yay! What a way to start off the year.
Yeah.
My absolute delight. For those of you who listened to our Twilight episode, y'all might know that I know a little bit about Twilight. So, of course, I know a little bit about 50 Shades of Grey. I have seen all the films many, many times. I also did read all of the books out of curiosity and found them to be not my bag. Morgan, what's your history with the film?
I've never watched any of these movies. I know. I've seen clips and I've heard tell about how terrible it is as a film, as a representation of BDSM. This isn't the Mr. Grey people wanted.
Who did they want?
Just
I don't
not
actually
him,
know.
I think.
Well, okay. I think he's fine. I saw him on a talk show at one point where he said that when he got the call that he got the job, he basically said cool and went back to sleep. And that was his. Yeah. My thesis for 50 Shades of Grey is that 50 Shades is less a romance and more a story about two people mistaking intensity for compatibility, and the Red Room functions as the point where the confusion becomes impossible to ignore. Perhaps in future episodes we'll go over the other movies in this, but for now we're just sticking with one. In a general sense, Christian Grey has something in his house called the Red Room, which is this Red Room dungeon of pain. We're not going to watch this part, but it's my favorite part of the movie. It says, my tastes are very singular. And then he brings her into the room. And just my favorite bit is this meme culture that developed as a reaction to it, where it's like, my tastes are very singular. And he opens the door and it's like a ball pit with like a bunch of clowns. Or just like a lot of trains or something. Let's get into some scene work, shall we?
Let's do it.
We will be watching 50 Shades of Grey. Actors in the scene, we will have Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele or Anna Steele, and Jamie Dornan as Christian Grey. It is based off of the Twilight fan fiction Master of the Universe, and E.L. James, who wrote the now best-selling novels, was writing under the pseudonym Snow Queen's Ice Dragon.
That was her pen name.
Her pen name, screen name, yes. Screenplay was written by Kelly Marcel, and it was directed by Sam Taylor Johnson. Did I say Tam Sailor Johnson? Directed by Sam Taylor Johnson.
By Tam Sailor Johnson.
Tam
Sailor nonsense.
Jam mailer nonsense. All right. I Seed, of course, by no one because it came out in 2015. The time code, if you'd like to follow along with us, is going to be 12210 to 12934. Christian brings Anastasia into the Red Room for the first time after the relationship turns sexual. He shows her the room, explains what it's used for, and walks her through the rules and expectations of his BDSM lifestyle. They engage in their first structured encounter in the space, marking Anastasia's initial participation in that side of Christian's world. She also, for reference, has never done any kind of BDSM before and lost her virginity, so she's quite inexperienced. And he has gone on record saying that he has had 20 or 30 subs in his life.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
She just lost her virginity and is now...
To him. Yes.
To him.
To him. Yeah.
And now he's like, if we're going to continue this, it can no longer be vanilla. It has to immediately be all the shades of BDSM.
Right. Anastasia Steele is about to graduate from college. And Christian Grey is a multi-billionaire who owns Grey Industries. It is a conglomerate that owns quite a few very random companies like blow dry bars, charities, and publishing companies.
The blow dry bar is so specific.
It's a whole thing. We're not even going to get to that, but the amount that I could just talk about this for days. But anyways, they meet and then he finds out that she's a virgin and he's like, well, I have to immediately take your virginity. And he, in fact, does in a vanilla way. She lost her virginity a week or so ago.
But it's still very recent.
It was very, very recent. We're going to bop into this. You ready?
All right.
I want to take you to my playroom.
Hot. What did he say about due diligence? He didn't do it. He didn't do the due
Yeah.
diligence.
He's like,
And
don't worry
now-
about it.
You ready?
Now they're in a dark room. We still can't see where they are. He's kissing her. We're meant to feel really intense, but there's like no chemistry.
Well, the music's doing a lot of the heavy lifting
The
here.
music is doing so much. And he keeps staring at her lip.
Oh, he's obsessed with her lips. He always is like, you
Punch
bite
my
your
hat.
lip. You know what that does to. It's so annoying.
Okay, so now it looks like they're in a closet. There's a lot of like mahogany wood everywhere.
Not
He's
for beautiful
taking her
body
dress
massage.
off. You can't even see her body yet. Okay, now we see it. She has like Target underwear
Take my
on.
shape into this
Why are
room.
you braiding her hair? Is this a
This is
sleepover?
Lucy.
No, this is how he wants her
You
to
wait for
be.
me.
This is the protocol in his
I'll
household.
meet you by the door.
Was this not outlined in the contract?
No, none of this was
Oh,
outlined
no.
anywhere. He's like, go
Okay,
lie down and
great.
don't look at me.
Okay, so now she's lying down on a
Hands
platform.
flat.
It almost looks like she's getting ready to pray.
This is his kinky dungeon full of red.
Oh, the red room. It's got red leather couches. He's got like expensive wood in here to hold all his toys. Grabbed a whip, little crop. What are you going to do to her hand? He's touching her with the riding crop and is moving his way towards her hand. Hits her hand.
Did that hurt?
Yeah, it probably hurt. What?
Let's leave your fears in your head.
What?
I don't know. I don't actually mind that bit so much.
What does this
but-
even mean? Most of your fears in your head.
Well, in sensory deprivation, yes.
And she has cupped her hands above her head, attaching to like some kind of structure. He's walking around her like he's like a panther, and he's gonna sniff her neck, and she's enjoying him sniffing her neck and touching her body. So,
Music.
music cue for that. It's wild. So we're still not seeing anything from below her chest. So I guess you just briefly touched her below her underwear and then was like, that's good.
She loved
And
it.
now he's dropping down. Again, this music is insane. Like reality shows have subtler music cues. This is ridiculous. And she's throwing her head around like, whoa. And now he's taking her underwear off.
Oh my god!
Oh, and he smelled her panties, bringing the riding crop around her buttocks towards the front. Okay, on the butt. That's fine. Oh, and now the Beyonce song is coming on her face, putting the riding crop in her mouth, in her armpit. Don't put that riding crop in her armpit and then put it back in her mouth now. Now he's hitting right below her breast, going down her torso, hitting her in random places. There's been no conversation of how hard he's going to hit. Now he's tying her up. Somehow she got down from before. He's tying her up with a red rope.
I can just tell he's not good at shibari. I just know.
No.
Montage.
Okay, so now they're in a bedroom and he's taking his pants off and he's got a weird leather floor. It's a montage where they're going back and forth between having sex and her being tied up and them being in the bedroom and them being in the red room. Those cuffs look so heavy.
But they don't look uncomfortable as much as they
No.
just look hefty, you know?
Yeah.
So, quick thoughts before we go to the next bit.
Watching that scene, I know that they wanted that to be so much hotter than it was. They thought this is the spiciest shit we could ever put on a screen. And I'm like, on a scale of 1 to heated rivalry, this was a 1.
I just think it's so different from real BDSM. It's all over the place. And usually you discuss your scenes ahead of time. You don't just throw them out there.
There are no safe words. There's been no discussion of boundaries. It all just feels very vaguely kinky without it being very clear.
This film posits the idea to people who don't have experience with BDSM that it's kind of inaccessible due to financial constraints. That in
Right.
order to do any scene, you need this much stuff. You need like 15 different riding crops and the whole business. And I'm just like, no, this is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like, this is like, for reference,
Sure.
like 90% of sex toys look like this piece of garbage over here.
Yeah.
Or this piece of garbage. Yay! For reference to our non-viewers, we are holding a flogger and a paddle.
And the thing is, there is a wide range of the quality of products you can get. Like, you can get
Sure.
the handmade real leather, like really fancy. Like,
Or
there's
wood.
an art to making, right? There's
Yeah.
an art to making all these different props. But the implication is that he's so deep into kink that he has this huge, elaborate setup, but all they show is minimal binding and the use of a riding crop. And they're
Which is
like,
maybe-
he's crazy. It feels like this scene was written by someone who's like heard of kink and is like, I'm going to write a kink movie.
Which is the exact problem of 50 Shades of Grey, kind of across the board.
He's positioned to be this like super kinky, fully into this world. We're supposed to judge him as a bit depraved for being
Mhm.
so into kink, which is a whole other conversation. But all they show him doing is spanking.
There is more context in the course of the film that she really just isn't a BDSM person. And he keeps pushing it on her. Spoilers, the next film, she has broken up with him and he like finds her and buys the business that she works at. Focusing on this scene, he has said, like, she knows her safe words. They have discussed them and she knows them. She is mildly aware that he is a sadist. If he has not said exactly as much, he has stated it in his contract that nobody signs and that he enjoys being a dominant. But
Yes.
also part of your job as a dom is to check and make sure that you are not going over limits as stated. You don't need to say red in order for you to notice that it is no longer a consensual.
There's so much of an onus on her to draw the line, and there's zero expectation for him to draw any or check in. Just because she shows up, that doesn't mean he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants until she says the safe word. Like, that's not how kink works. If we were doing this in a more realistic way, she could say, hey, I want to see. And then he could say, okay, well, it would look like this, X, Y, and Z. Would that work for you? And then she
Mhm.
could either say yes, or she could be like, hey, let's pull it back, or let's find a different version of that. Like, what is the thing that you're after? Is it sadism? Is it humiliation? Is, whatever. And then you can figure something out. Her character has almost no agency.
She doesn't have the experience or knowledge to understand what she's asking for. And in that situation, he should know that it is up to him to give that context and clarity, that he
Yes.
should be over analyzing her body expressions in this moment after explaining what he plans to do. In the reality of the kink world, the bottom, the sub, is the one in control of the scene. And
Yes.
she has no agency. She's a leaf in the wind and she's just chilling and enjoying it. The writer of this just wanted her fantasies on paper and she did that.
If you're just writing down your fantasies, that's one thing. But when you're going to publish something, you have a responsibility to understand what you're talking about. The harm that it probably caused people who watched this, thought, this is what kink is. I'm just going to do whatever this film said. There are very few accurate portrayals of kink.
My mom read this series and she loved it. And I think it does touch upon some fantasies that people have, both about a billionaire reaching out and picking them and being
Totally.
super, super desirous and obsessed with you. Something that Edward Cullen does to Bella. Like, I get it. I see it. I understand. It's when you try to put this into practice that it sort of falls apart. Couple of things. Number one, Dakota Johnson said that this was wildly different from the movie she signed up for. The script completely changed, and they hired Jamie Dornan, and they didn't have any issues on set or anything that I'm aware of. But at that point, as an actor, if you sign on to a project, it doesn't matter how many times it has changed. You are signed on, even if it suddenly is out of your boundaries. But this is the same thing that happened with Madam Web. It started off a very different film and she was signed on and then she didn't really have an out anymore.
Technically, you can leave if at any point if you want to. Yeah.
Yes. But
Okay.
this was such a high IP project. In Planned Parenthood, they have what consent consists of. And one of the things is that it's freely given. And in a situation like film, showing nudity, showing simulated sex, it's not freely given because you're being paid to do it. There is a level of coercion to it because the amount of money you could make from something like 50 Shades of Grey is really life-changing and significant. So you try to just be as fully informed as possible, but she couldn't even really do that because they kept changing things on her. That being said, she's really grateful for the experience, and it's not like she had a horrible time on set, although she did get whiplash, apparently. From one of the simulated sex scenes, Jamie Dornan was throwing her on the bed like 17 takes in a row, and she
Oh my God.
couldn't move her neck the next day. She was laughing about it in a recent interview, but I was like, damn, that's really, really rough. I want to add lastly here to my list of notes that the director and Jamie Dornan apparently met with several DOMs to make sure he was doing it correctly and authentically.
I'd be so curious what was done during those sessions with the DOMs because there was nothing that felt accurate about these scenes. They gave the author a lot more power to get the rights to this IP than they normally do. So her say had a lot more weight than it normally would have. You would have to change the scenes and change a lot about the story in order to accommodate that if you actually wanted to make this feel accurate. Gray is not concerned with what she wants or is interested in, what she's ready for. There's just no conversation about that whatsoever. Did they ever use a body double for Dakota Johnson? Because it looked like for some of the scenes it could have been.
She had a butt double
Okay.
because she has tattoos, not because she felt like she didn't want her body to be seen. But then again, that's just what's being framed in these articles
Right.
on Entertainment Tonight. So who's to say? Yeah, I think it's time to get into the sweet
Let's do
spice.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, well, welcome to the Spice Scale, our not so scientific way of rating intimacy scenes based on consent and power dynamics, technical craft and coordination excellence, and heat factor. Each category gets a score from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Then we add it all up to give the scene a final letter grade. Let's start off with consent and power dynamics, how the scene depicts consent and power in the story and if known behind the scenes. Woo!
0.
Yeah, the power dynamics are depicted clearly, but they're so problematic.
Yeah, it's clear the power dynamics within the relationship when we're talking about the power dynamics of the BDSM scenes that they're participating in. She should be the one that's actually in control by being the one who is in the subordinate position, and she's not.
I'd go with a 1. I think a 1 is fine. We've talked about this a fair amount
Yeah.
already. Technical craft and coordination excellence, the staging, film coverage, modesty protection, choreography, and overall execution of the scene. I thought the modesty coverage was good. Even in that montage of all that business. Granted, we see her topless. We see pubic hair for both of them. And I'm not sure if that's a merkin or not, actually.
We saw pubic hair? I thought we cut away just before the underwear revealed pubic hair.
Well, we see the top of the pubic hair, but I will say I saw 0 modesty garments. I know at the very least maybe he's wearing one. She has a body double, and I thought it was pretty seamless. The penetration timing seemed to make sense, even though we were all over the place and it was very hard to tell. But maybe the music swept me into complacency, and I'm like, fine, that looks good for me.
The montage did get very confusing and not in a way that felt intentional. The thing that also really bothered me was the pace of everything. They were really trying to make it feel like we're building tension, but there just was none. And so you end up just watching these two people moving slowly, staring at each other.
Hey, Morgan,
Yeah.
how would you fix that?
It's a great question. One thing you can do to quickly create tension between two actors is have them sync up their breath. It feels like it's a really small thing, but it does create a tension between the two people to have them be in sync. That can create that ineffable quality between two folks. I would vary up the speed by which they're moving. And at the end, we've shot everything else. We haven't done any simulated sex, but we know these two don't have any chemistry. Then that's a conversation we can have and figure out a way. Because at that point, you know, right? And I've seen clips from other scenes of this movie, and I'm like, there's 0 chemistry between these two people.
I just think it's so funny because you are right, but also like the amount of people who love 50 Shades of Grey for the chemistry. Like, this is as hot a take as my Eyes Wide Shut take, I feel.
Here's the thing is I feel like people get tricked by the spectacle. Like, ooh, we're in this red room and he's holding a whip and he's staring at her intensely and looking at her lips. And I'm watching this and it's like watching a statue. Like 2 statues. And it's not that they're bad actors necessarily. It's just sometimes people just don't have chemistry for whatever reason. I was working on this one project. It was a short that really hinged on the chemistry of these 2 actors. They were playing exes who had previously been in a really long-term relationship. And then they finally see each other for the first time after the breakup. And then they end up hooking up. And the first time during rehearsal, we saw that these 2 actors didn't have a lot of chemistry. I did some exercises with them where I had them stand on opposite sides of this small room, and one of them like told the other one when they could move forward or when they could stay and create that pull between the 2 of them because one person really wants to get to that destination, the other person isn't allowing them, and that helps create that feeling. So there's a bunch of different things you can do. What are some of your tricks for building chemistry?
I love breath. I think your use of breath is great. Sharp inhale through the nose is very different than a slow exhale through the nose. Something happened in my body and I feel it sexually. ooh, kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas, like, this is not sexy.
Yeah, no, like snorting cocaine is not a sexy look. Or like when he puts his nose up to her and he goes, I'm like, I don't know, that's not doing it for me.
It did
Um,
look like he was doing a line off of her neck as opposed
a
to,
little
like,
bit.
taking in her scent.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, if this was a wolf thing, I'd actually be on board with
Yes.
that movement contextually. But in this moment, it just seems a little weird, particularly after putting her underwear directly into his nose. There's no other proof of him being interested in her sensually. um uh yeah, I did that and that happened and now I regret it. But anyway, if I have more time, I'd love to do chemistry exercises. I don't usually have more time. For technical craft and coordination excellence, although I was confused by the editing, I don't think that it did a bad job. I think I would give it like a 3.5 or a 4.
I hear what you're saying of, like, the moments of penetration and the coverage of the modesty garments, but the building of tension, the chemistry between the two of them, it was so bad and just fell so flat. I would
Yeah.
be closer to a 2, so we can compromise and do a 3.
I would do a 3.
They would have been better off choosing a flagger over a crop
Oh my
just
God, yes.
because you have so many more possibilities. You can have it like moving softly on top of another person, gently
Mhm.
having it hit. There's so much more sensually that you can play with. And also the building up of like slowly bringing it around and then increasing the speed and then having that get closer to the person. A crop, there
I
are things you
agree.
can do. It's a little bit more limited visually in terms of how you can build things up.
I think it would have been stronger to go up her spine when she was seated, more
Yes.
so than the neck and shoulder, because going up the spine, you can see the ripples and you can see the shoulder blades move backwards. Maybe
Mhm.
the head tips back or even tips forward. You can see the hands twitch. There's more nerve endings also just in the spine than in the neck shoulder region.
And you get to see that, like, S curve, and that's the other thing is, like, we
Yeah.
really
No S curves. 0.
no S curves. We're only seeing the parts of the body that are being impacted. We're not seeing her gripping something. We're not seeing her biting her lower lip. We're not seeing her toes clenching or
Yeah. I also don't know, without the music, there is no context as to why he's hitting her and where. In a real scene, there is communication. There's a moment in the beginning of that scene where he says, "Keep your eyes down." And she says, "Yes, sir." And then later she looks up at him. Play with that. That's when maybe he uses the crop on her rib cage, if that's the journey you want to do. You could also take the crop and roll it around the areola instead of the nipple directly, which would cause sensation there. And then she looks up at him, crop. Give a reason and a motivation for the movements, and we're there with you more. Hitting in random places for no particular reason in silence, presumably without the music, this scene in silence would be insane. Should we watch it without any music?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
where
I
it's
love it.
just like
I want one of those edits where they add in the breathing. So it's just like her breath, the crop making contact.
I'm gonna just breathe in the background so you can feel the experience of it.
Yes. And now how did he not tickle her armpits by putting his hands right there?
Very Jennifer Grey in Dirty Dancing. She's
It
just cracking
is.
up.
And she giggled a lot. And that was actually Jennifer Grey giggling. Like she couldn't
Yeah.
handle that part. And then they just kept it. That wasn't planned.
The heavy lifting that the music did on this, like,
is. 'Cause
honestly.
I'm like, really? He's just tickling her. Like, I would be giggling during this because he's doing all these light touches on her sides, down her stomach, along her neck. And I'm like, that's a ticklish.
Also, this story is so deeply unclear. He just puts his hand down and she's like, ah! I'm like, what did he do? His shoulder's not moving.
His hand went down underneath her underwear for a second and then came right back up. And I'm like, what could he have done? And now he's
Okay,
making out with her belly button like it's her mouth.
The lightest of belly button kisses, and she's like having a ball up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was our butt person. Okay,
And then
great.
he sniffs the underwear.
We're not really seeing like a curve of anything.
He takes the crop down her armpit, which just feels like a weird choice for where to put the crop. Like, I loved your pitch of having it go down her spine.
Or like inner thigh at the very least. Like you don't even need to
Yeah,
see the vulva to make that enticing.
down her chest, down her torso, around her breast, around her thighs. Like, we could have hinted at so many things. And
I
he
do like the
hits.
little smile moment she has there. It's not bad. But also, like,
It's
why did
nice.
that hurt so much more? The rib cage should hurt much more than the stomach should. He seems like a Dom who doesn't know what he's doing. I feel weird that they saw a Dom before this.
It I feel like they didn't really listen to what the Dom said. That's just my instinct. These are very hard thrusts.
This looks painful, but I mean, if
Yeah.
that's the vibe, then that's the vibe. Those handcuffs are insanity.
It's so much worse. It
Well,
is.
it is
The
worth.
music is doing even more heavy lifting than I thought it was. Like, his thrusting is terrible. It is these like really short, sharp staccato thrusts. I don't think we're trying to tell the story of, well, he wants the thrusting to be painful too, and that's what they're into. I think he's supposed to be amazing at sex,
Giant
billionaire,
penis man.
huge penis, and I don't think we're even telling that story, to be honest.
No, the thrusts are too short
The thrusts are
to
really short.
to tell the story of a large penis.
We're not telling the story of a large penis.
The story of the thrusting is that he has an average-sized penis that he likes to very sharply penetrate with.
Size genuinely doesn't matter if
It
you know
doesn't.
how to work with what you have and
Correct.
you know how to do other things. Could be the story that, this guy doesn't happen to be super well endowed, but we do want to tell the story that he's like great at sex. Cool. Let's show him doing other things that are
Mhm.
enjoyable for her. We're not getting that at all. This is a billionaire with a small penis who likes to tie your wrists.
I like that as a tagline, like 50 Shades of Grey, small penis billionaire meets college student.
I don't think that story sells millions and millions of copies of a book
But it
and tickets
did.
to a movie. It did.
And
Because
yet
people
it
didn't realize
did.
that's the story that was being told. Think of how much better it could have been. Think of how much more successful it could have been if we had just made some of those adjustments. I also realized watching this back, we don't have any sense of what their individual experience of this scene is. Like,
No.
what is his perspective of her when she's bent over the table and is waiting for him to hit her? And what is his breath during that? What is she feeling as she's anticipating for this other hit to come after she's already experienced one and enjoyed it?
I 100% agree. In film, whenever you shoot a scene, you do have to think, who is this scene about? 50 Shades of Grey is just like Twilight in that we are all supposed to feel like Bella. It is about us and our experience. And I think that the filmmakers assumed that, yes, then we want to see her primarily enjoying herself and enjoying the physicality of it. But the reality is, if we're all her, then I want to see his reaction. So I feel like he's looking at us, looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can see how much he's enjoying it. That's so much sexier to see how he's losing his mind over her than her
Mm-hmm.
losing her mind over inexplicable physical action like softly kissing her stomach.
When her hands are being tied, having a focus of like what that texture is like, what that constraint is like, her
Yeah. Or
resisting
like going,
against the
yeah.
constraints. There's no sense of that play there, which is weird given that he calls this the playroom.
Whole other conversation about that. That's a whole other ballgame. Okay, but technical craft or coordination excellence? Did we decide 2 or 3?
See, now I want it to be a 2. Now that I've watched it without music, I'm like, oh, it's worse.
I agree with you, and I'm happy to make it a 2 because
Okay,
without the
let's make it a
music, it
2.
truly is a 2. All right, which lands us at heat factor, the level of erotic charge or sexual tension in the scene.
Yeah, that's going to be a big goose egg for me.
There are moments that are attractive to look at. There's no sexual tension, but they so want there to be. There's one spank in there I don't mind, and that's
But
why
to
I want
me,
to give
what
it a
you're
1.
describing is not a hot scene. Like,
Well, the
okay,
spank
so
was hot.
okay, so there are attractive people in the scene. We see attractive bodies. That doesn't make something hot inherently.
True, but the spank was nice.
One of the spanks was nice.
One of the spanks was nice, and I'm willing to go from 0 to 1 because of the one spank.
Because of one spank, I don't think it earns it. This is a movie that is about kink, and only one of the many kink elements was hot.
Well, here's the thing. Whether it's 0 or 1, it is the same. It is an F either way.
This thing fails.
This was so widely criticized. They put a mass market BDSM label on this. Everyone is like, this is about control. This is about coercion. This
Yeah.
is abuse-coded romance. I think that I see 50 Shades style stuff a lot in verticals, and they're always trying
Yes.
to recapture something about the way that this film came out.
It's actually hotter when you do it the way that
That it's done.
people who know, the way that it's properly done. I'm like, it's actually a lot hotter. There's so much more you can play with if you have someone who's knowledgeable about not just the broad strokes of how this works, but like you were saying, like knowing what parts of the body have more nerve endings and are going to be more stimulated by a certain act.
See, I think that we should remake this movie shot for shot. Just fix it. Just fix all of it. You in?
I'm so in.
Well, on that note, do you have anything to plug, Morgan?
This microdrama ad that I worked on for Maybelline
Yeah!
called Maybe This Christmas is out right now. It was a really fun one to work on. It has the two leads from Hot Frosty, and they crushed it. And I got to intimacy coordinate with an inflatable Santa character. So that was really fun. You got anything?
I was on another podcast as a guest. I was on The Vertical Take. I believe it is coming out January 4th, so that should be out by the time this comes out. Go listen to me talk about intimacy coordination in another environment. Also, I am going to be hosting a workshop on intimacy coordination for actors on January 31st.
That's exciting.
Shall we
read the
shall we do the credits? Let's do the credits. All right, well, thank you so much for listening to Faking It. This episode's research and context was done by me, Ariel.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every other hump day, Wednesday.
If this was good for you, the best way to support our show is to follow the podcast and leave a quick rating or review. It takes less than 30 seconds, and it really helps us.
Tell one friend who loves spicy movie secrets about us. Find us on social media at Faking It the Pod.
Want to get involved? Head to patreon.com/fakingitthepod. For just $1, you can request scenes for us to break down. For $10, you can get bonus content and never-before-seen footage. And for $5, you get a shout-out like these listeners. Thank you, Lee and Kiki Brown.
This episode was produced by Ariel Lee Cohen, social media and branding by Morgan Smith. Our theme song is Faking It by Suno AI until we get monetized. So feel free to send us a new one. Credits for the film or show we reacted to are in the episode caption. Stay real, fakers.